This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is David Nixon, and today I'm going to ask you a question that I asked myself many moons ago, which, funnily enough, I suppose was one of the earlier examples of me sort of asking myself a question, wanting to know the answer, and well, even if I didn't want to know the answer, I fucking got it at the time. It was pretty funny. During this period in my life, I was probably struggling one of the most. I remember I was house sitting at the time, and house sitting is often a fancy way to say I was homeless. I wasn't like living on the streets. I literally just didn't have enough money to pay for rent, with many sort of difficulties that I had within business and so forth. So I chose to, rather than, I suppose, stock shelves at midnight, to house sit to save money. And during that time, there was definitely some miserable moments, and I just remember thinking I just wanted to have a female. I wanted to have a girlfriend. At least, if not a girlfriend, I wanted to be, I suppose, acknowledged. I wanted attention or something along those lines. It was very much a boy psychology that I was running. And I remember thinking, it's like, what's wrong with me? Or why would a girl not want to date me? And then I remember asking myself the question. I was like, hang on a sec, would I date me? And I looked at my life at the time. I'm like, fucking no. And I'm like, well, why the hell should I feel like anyone else should bloody be dating me? If I wouldn't date me, why would someone else date me? And I'm like, fuck, I need to fix my shit, because I wouldn't even date me. And so the question here, a lot of the time when we go through our challenges and difficulties, is like, would you date yourself? Right? Now, obviously not yourself, but if you're in a position where you would date the person who you are today, would you date that person? Or is there's some things that you probably need to sort out? And if there are some things you need to sort out, the most important thing to do is just to acknowledge that. It's not to put any shame on it, not to put any sort of guilt or to deepen your wounds or anything along those lines. It's really just about recognizing it. And from recognizing it, we can go about starting to make those changes. And it was this pivotal moment. I just remember I was in bed at one of the houses I was house sitting, and I'm just like, fuck, I didn't even think about it. I just wouldn't date myself right now. It's like, well, what would I need to do in order to be a person that I would date, right? And a couple of those things was like, well, I need to probably get, for me personally, it was like develop more emotional maturity. I need to start looking at areas in my life that I wasn't taking responsibility for, and start looking at how I can start taking responsibility for those areas. The other things I started to look at was going, well, I don't earn much money at the moment. Not that that's a big thing, but if I stay in this space, that's going to cause some issues. But if I have some sort of drive and some sort of path and what some people call a hustle, but I wouldn't really use that term, I would just call it work ethic, and hope, then at some point then I'm going to put myself in a position to come across somebody. I'm not taking any chances. I'm expecting people to come find me. Well, what can I do then to go out and meet more people? What can I do then to go out and I suppose expose myself? Not to actually expose myself. I had clothes on, I promise. But it's this type of idea that allows us to step back. It's the same thing. If you're in business, it's like, would you buy from yourself? What you charge, would you buy? Right? And if the answer is like, well, not really, right? Then it's like, well, you probably got some things to figure out. Or if it's like, well, of course I would, but it's really low. Like, I charge really low for what I do. It's like there's a discounting of yourself there in the face of someone else. I've had people that are like, well, I don't like asking people for money. I'm like, it's got nothing to do with you. Asking people to pay for a service that you provide actually has fucking little to do with you. It's their meaning structures around money. If they've got some issues around meaning structures around money, then that's their thing. But a lot of the time when you run a service and you have a job in any of these areas and you provide that service or you provide that product, there's going to be a trade of some sort, right? And that trade is more often than not, it's going to be money. Now, the interesting thing around money is that it's just an energy, right? Similar to when we meet somebody from a dating perspective and we can feel their energy. Same thing, right? Except the difference, though, is that money is an inanimate object, which means that it holds no energy, just the energy that we give it. So our thoughts and feelings around money is not money, it's our thoughts and feelings of money, right? And so it's a really powerful thing. But when we often, for example, like once again, myself, when I'm coaching and I'm like, well, this is the investment for the packages that I work with, it's like I'm asking this person to step up. I'm not asking them for the money. I'm asking, are you serious to put your money down as an investment for yourself? Or is it, if I just did it free, would everyone just rock up and do it all the time and take it? They wouldn't. When you pay attention, right? And this is the same thing for you from a holistic standpoint, right? It's the attitude and the effectively the mindset we have on money, but it's the attitude and mindset we have on health. It's the attitude and mindset we have on life. It's the attitude and mindset we have on a partnership, a relationship, all of that. And it really heavily comes down to this continual, forever unfolding. And I was speaking to one of my clients just earlier today, and they shot me a message saying, well, they asked a couple of questions, and at the end of the conversation, they're like, man, it really just doesn't stop. And it's like, well, it's a forever unfolding. It's not meant to stop. There's not meant to be a finish line. You're not meant to arrive. You're not meant to be there and be like, oh, cool, I'm now either like the perfect being that I've always wanted to be, or now I've got the exact amount of money that I've always needed, or now I have all the amount of friends that I've always wanted. Like, it never occurs. All we can do is get the shit that's in the way of us being true to ourselves and true to our potential out of the way and lean into our potential and contribute on a larger scale, right? But we have to do it first on a smaller scale, on a personal scale. And so our ability to do this gives us so much more power. But it's, once again, it's power of self. It's not power over anyone else. Because the way that we change the world, once again, the way we change the world is by changing ourselves. And so when we sit there and we're in this miserable space of whether we can't get a job, we can't get a partner, we can't earn money, all of those are just belief structures that are utter bullshit that we tell ourselves. Here's another utter bullshit one, though. I attract money. It's a bullshit frame of reference. It's just that if you believe it, that you've got more chance of that coming true than you attracting money when you say, I can't make money. Like, that's the difference, right? Both of them are fabricated. They're not real. And so what is real is going, I provide quality service to a market, and because of that, I deserve to be able to be remunerated appropriately. The other side of that is like, well, I know my value as a person, and so I'm not going to discount myself in order just to settle for somebody who's not going to respect me, right? Because when other people disrespect us and we allow that, it's because we disrespect ourselves. The interesting thing, I didn't expect this conversation to go down the pathway of both money and self-worth, I suppose, but here we are, and it's interesting how these two things are just both, they're examples. One was an analogy of the other, but in reality, it comes down to this question. It's like, at this current moment, if you're single, would you date yourself? And if the answer is no, or if the answer is a bloated yes, it's like, of course I would date myself. Who wouldn't want to fucking date me? I'm awesome. If it's like this fabricated facade, then it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. And so it's just, the question is there as an opportunity to truly allow us to see inwards for ourselves and see the areas of our soul and our ego maybe that we can start to shift and start to be able to make small changes so that we put ourselves in a position to be able to live the life that we deserve and want to live. It's that simple. But if we don't ask these questions, then a lot of the time we'll just continue to operate from the frame of reference we've always operated, which caused the problem in the first place. So there's your opportunity. And on that note, team, I am done. If you found this podcast beneficial, it would mean the world to me if you'd pass it on to someone else that you think would also find it beneficial. If you haven't already, then jump on Facebook, search Mood Prep Online, join the conversation there. I'd love to have you in there. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's @DDNix. Otherwise, team, that's it. I'm done. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza. Kick today in the dick and slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.